Hello, today I'm going to be showing you how to make the flip-flop bracelet. The flip-flop bracelet is not terribly difficult, but I would not recommend it as your first bracelet. If you are making a bracelet for the first time, I recommend learning how to do the candy stripe or the chevron bracelets first. Okay, and before we get started, cut about 40 inches of string in an assortment of colors. I chose 5 different colors, but you can choose however many you would like. I will also be including a segment at the end about how to make your bracelet adjustable, which is completely optional, but if you choose to do that, leave about 4 inches of string above your knot before we begin. Okay, so to start this bracelet, you're going to take the most left string, which for me is yellow, and we're going to start the bracelet off by making a forward knot on each of the strings, very similar to the candy cane bracelet. So you're going to take your first string and then your next string, and you're going to make 2 forward knots. Make a 4, go in and through the hole, and pull up and to the right. Make 2 of those on each string. So that's 1 string. And then I'm gonna do my dark blue next. Gonna make 1 and 2. And then move on to your next string, which is my light pink. I'm gonna make 2 forward knots. So it's 1 and 2. And my last string, which is my light blue, so I'm going to make 2 forward knots again. 4, under, through, so that's 1 and 2. So now what we're going to do is, if we were making the candy cane bracelet, we would start by taking our next outermost string, which would be my orange. But for the flip-flop bracelet, what we're going to do is take off our tape and completely flip the bracelet over so that the color we just used to make the knots is on the left again. Just like this. So you should be able to see the back of your bracelet. You don't do this in normal bracelets, but for this one, it makes a really unique pattern, so we're going to try it. So now, once you flip your bracelet over, you're going to do the same thing again. You're going to make forward knots on each of the strings. So I have my yellow. I'm going to make 2 forward knots on my light blue. That's 1 and 2. I'm going to do the same thing on each of my strings. It's 1 and 2. Gonna do in my dark blue, so make a number 4 in through the hole, and number 2. And I'm gonna do in my last string, which is my orange. It's 1 and 2. Okay, and now we're gonna flip our bracelet back over, and we're gonna do some more knotting with our yellow. Take it off, completely flip it back over, and then put it back under your tape. Okay, so now we're gonna do one more row with our yellow. So you're gonna take the outermost left string, the ones that you've done 2 rows with. You should be able to see 2 rows. And I'm going to do forward knots on each of the strings just like I have been. So make 2 forward knots, 1 and 2, and I'm going to do that on each of my strings. Okay, now that I'm done with that, instead of flipping the bracelet back over, I'm going to choose a new color. I'm going to choose the next outermost left string, which is my orange. And now I'm going to make forward knots on each of my strings just like I have been. And we're not flipping the bracelet over yet, so we're going to do that after this row. I'm going to make 2 forward knots on each of my strings. very similar to the candy cane bracelet. Okay, now that I've finished this row, I'm going to take my tape off and flip my bracelet over. And I'm going to do the same thing again. Take my orange, the string all the way on the left, and make forward knots on each of my strings. Okay, and now that I've completed that row, I'm going to take my bracelet and flip it over again. And I'm going to do one more row of orange on the front. So I'm going to take my outermost left string, which is orange for me, and I'm going to do a forward knot on each string. Okay, and now that I've done with that, I'm going to take my new outermost left string, which is dark blue, and I'm going to do the same process again. You're going to do 3 rows of each color, 2 on the front and 1 on the back, just like we've been doing so far. You're going to continue knotting until you reach your desired length or you run out of string. Once we both finish knotting, we are going to reconvene at the end, and I will show how to make your bracelet adjustable if you would like to learn. Okay, now I have made my bracelet as long as I want to, and it looks super cool. It definitely has a zigzag pattern. So now I'm going to show you how to make it adjustable. So I'm going to trim my ends so that they're the same length, just so it's a little easier to end together. Buttons the same length, just like so. And I'm not going to throw this out. Okay, so now I'm going to tie a knot at the end of my bracelet. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to braid both ends of my bracelet. So I'm going to put it under the tape. And I'm going to braid the ends. Okay, now that I've braided both of my ends, I'm going to put my bracelet into the circle, just like this, and I'm going to tape it down. Okay, so I've taped both the top and the bottom and just a little bit of my ends so that I still have room to move them. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of one of these strings. I'm going to use my light blue, and we're going to make what's called a box knot or a square knot. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it underneath both of your ends. So you're just going to have it like this. First thing you're going to do is you're going to take the left side and put it over both of your ends, just like this. Just make a loop. Now you're going to take your right end, put it on top of your left end, and then put it underneath both of the braided ends of your bracelet and through the hole, just like this. It's going to be a bit of a pretzel looking thing. Now I'm going to pull both of my ends tight, just like that. I'm going to do this again, but I'm going to do it on the right side. So I'm going to put my right end over my braided parts of my bracelet. I'm going to take my left end, put it over my right, and underneath the braided ends of my bracelet and through the loop. And I'm going to pull it tight, making sure that it's right next to the other knot I just made. Okay, I'm going to repeat this a few more times and I'll walk you through it. So left one goes on top, your right end goes over the left and under the braids and through the loop, and then pull it tight. I'm going to do the same thing on the right, so put the right over, left goes on top and then under the braids and through the loop. I'm going to pull it tight. I'm going to do it one more time. So left goes over, right goes on top and under the braids and through the loop. And I'm going to pull it, and then I'm going to do it one more time on the right. So put the right over, put the left on top and under the braids and through the loop. And pull it tight. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take either nail polish or super glue. I use clear nail polish, rapid dry, and I'm gonna glue down my bracelet knot. So for nail polish, I'm just gonna spread it around, making sure to get the ends of my strings, and then I'm gonna untape my bracelet and get the other side, just to make sure everything is secure so that my knot does not fall out. Just like this, making sure I get all the string. So now I'm gonna wait for it to dry, and we're gonna come back in a minute. Now that my knot is dry, I'm gonna take my scissors and cut off the extra string, leaving a little bit left so that if the knot comes undone, it won't break as fast. And now you just want to move the knot around a little bit because it has glue. It's a little tight, but at the end you have a completed bracelet. So I hope you enjoyed making this zigzag bracelet with me.